Okay, here we go again. I'm back with you, Mrs. Emanuel. Just solve a more multi-step equation. I'm just going to go through the process. I'm not going to necessarily write down what I'm doing. I'm going to say it, so you need to listen very closely and make sure if you need to pause the video. Pause the video, rewind, fast forward, do what you need to do to make certain you understand how to isolate variables in our multi-step equations. Let me slow it down. We look at the details. You see we have grouping symbols. So first, let's get rid of the grouping symbols. Okay. Therefore, I'm going to use distributive property. And let me hide what I'm going to... This right here is what I'm going to distribute. The -8. I'm going to distribute the -8 to everything within the parentheses. Okay. So I'll bring down the -5n. Then I'm going to say -8 times 1. And I'm going to go ahead and say -8. I'm not going to write that step down. -8 times a +7. That's going to be a -56. Don't forget the n. Equals -8. Now I've gotten rid of the parentheses. Okay. So next you said, well, it's still not a two-step equation. You're right. You probably noticed that we have two n terms. We have -5n, -56n. So here I have -5n, -56n. I'm going to rewrite that using the commutative property. So I have -5n minus 56n, bring down my -8 equals -8. Okay, I just rearranged the problem using the commutative property. So now I'm going to combine my like terms here. I got -5, -56. That means it's a -61n minus 8. I just combined the like terms. Equals -8. Okay. Next, I'm going to say, hey, what did they do to the n? And you notice it's -61 times n. Then they subtracted 8. So I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Then I'm going to divide both sides by -61. So add 8 to both sides. The 8's cancel out because they're added to inverse. And added to inverse sum always 0. So on the left hand side, I bring down -61n equals. These are added to inverse as well. So what happened? It goes to 0. They cancel out. And it's okay to get 0. Then I told you I was going to divide both sides by -61. Divide both sides by -61. Simplify it. -61 divided by -61 is a +1, leaving me with 1 n. I do not write the 1, I just write the n. Then I have 0 divided by -61. Babies, 0 divided by anything except 0 now. 0 divided by anything is going to be 0. Except 0. You can't say 0 divided by 0. We're not allowed to divide the denominator. Well, we shouldn't have zeros in the denominator, okay? But when you have a 0 in your numerator, you will get 0 when you're doing division. Okay? Substitute the 0 back in to see what you get. 0, if you say -5 times 0, that's 0, so that's gone. 7 times 0, that's gone because that's 0. So you got 1 plus 0 is 1. So -8 times 1 will be -8. Okay? And you probably say, you're talking too fast. Remember, it's a video. You could pause it, you could stop it, you could rewind it, you could fast forward it. Okay? Okay. And notice that I'm not writing down the steps, I'm just verbally saying it. But in the other video, I wrote down steps and verbally said it. So example 2. You notice we have grouping symbols. Let's get rid of the grouping symbol. In front of the grouping symbol, I have a negative. Okay? Or you may say subtract. So it means, if you see subtract, it means that I'm subtract x, then I'm going to subtract 2. So it's still distributing. If you want to look at it as distributing a -1. Okay? So I'm going to distribute that subtraction sign first. Bring down my 9 equals 6. Distribute the subtract with the x. So I have subtract x. Negative and a positive or a subtraction sign and an addition sign becomes a subtraction sign. The same thing as negative times positive. And you bring your 2 down. No more grouping symbols. Now I notice that I have a constant here and a constant here. So those are like terms. I'm going to rewrite it using the commutative property. So I have 9 equals 6 minus 2 minus x. Okay. Combine my like terms here. So I bring down the 9 equals 6 minus 2 is 4 minus x. Ask yourself what is being done to the x. I would say that the x is you got -1. It's being multiplied by -1 because of the subtraction. Then we're adding a 4. So I'm going to subtract 4, divide by -1. Okay. So to both sides, I'm going to subtract 4 because I'm trying to isolate that x. So I subtract that 4. This goes to 0. 9 minus 4 is 5 equals -x. Next, we're going to divide both sides by -1 because we want positive x. We're looking for what x is, not negative x. So divide both sides by -1. The negatives cancel because negative divided by negative is +1. So we have a positive x on the right hand side. 5 divided by -1 is -5. Okay, substitute it back in. Check your answer. Just substitute -5. -5 plus 2 is -3. So now we got 6 minus -3. So a minus and a -3, that's going to be plus. So 6 plus 3, you would get 9. Okay, that's those two examples. And I'm going to do another example for you. Example 3. Get rid of the grouping symbol. What are you going to do? You're going to distribute the -2. Okay, so we got negative, bring down your 6. -2 times 7 is -14. Negative times negative is a positive. So 2 times c is just 2c. We're trying to isolate the c. So we said what is being done to that variable? It's being multiplied by 2. Then we're subtracting 14. So how are we going to solve it? To both sides, we're going to add 14. Then we're going to divide 2. Because we're doing the inverse operations. So add 14 to both sides. Then the 14th on the right hand side cancel. Those are added to inverse. We're left with positive 2c. 6 plus 14 is 20. Then we divide both sides by 2. That coefficient there cancel out because 2 divided by 2 is 1. We have 1c left on the right hand side. We have accomplished our goal. We have isolated. Simplify. Continue with the simplification. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So c equals 10. 7 minus 10 is -3. -3 times -2 is a +6. Yay! We got the correct answer. Okay. Example 4. Here we go with example 4. Oh, grouping symbol. So what should we do? Yes. We got to distribute the 3 through everything inside the parentheses. So bring down my 17 equals 3 times p is 3p. 3 times a negative, a positive times a negative, it's going to leave that subtraction. So 3 times 5 is 15. Bring down your plus 8. Okay. What are our like terms here? We have here 1p terms. Oh, they're already beside each other. These are like terms. I do not have to rearrange because they're beside each other. So all I'm going to do now is just combine them. So I have 17 equals 3p. Negative and a positive, that means you found the difference. So I'm going to just say 15 minus 8 is 7. The absolute value of -15 is greater than absolute value of +8. Therefore, it's a subtraction. Okay, or negative. So now what's being done to the p? We're multiplying by 3, then we're subtracting 7. So how do we undo it? What's the inverse operation? Add 7, divide by 3. So let's add 7, add 7. Add its inverse, cancel, leaving me with 3p on the right hand side. You combine 17 and 7, you get 24. 3, the 3 is still with the p. Remember, we said we're going to divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Uh-oh, we got p equals 24 divided by 3, which is 8. And we are what? Done. I highly suggest that you go back, you listen, you slow down the video. Write you some notes. If you need to, write down the words that I'm saying and really listen to what's being said. And you practice, and you practice, and you practice. Okay? That's what you have to do. If you want excellent performance, then you practice. So have a great day. Shout out from me to you, Lady Emmanuel. Be blessed.